going to do this? Are we just going to roll right into the Avengers? Sure. This is what everybody's been waiting for. Let's do it.
Okay, all right.
Critics assemble. Here we are.
Oh my God.
To do the intros or...
People have already turned this off, so why not
Man,
say who we are?
I don't... okay, yeah, I'll do an official intro. Hey everybody, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And we are pleased to have with us again Bob Chipman.
Hi.
Bob.
How's it going?
And Bob, where can people find you online?
They can find me online at the Escape.
You say that.
Did you add extra
say where
megabytes
people
for this?
can
You know how it goes on.
Find people.
You can find me online doing Escape to the Movies at escapistmagazine.com every Friday. The Big Picture at the same website every week on Tuesday. Also, the Game Overthinker on screwattack.com and American Bob on YouTube. Check out my blog. There's no extra B in that word. At moviebob.blogspot.com.
I'll be home this weekend if anyone wants to call.
And we're at postmovie.net.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can proudly announce that we have 1,100 downloads total in China.
Woohoo!
Nice.
What the hell is going on in China? What the hell? You know?
I tell you, it's the
I mean,
government
that's
following
like-
us.
Downloads in China. Awesome.
Yeah, isn't there a firewall? Yeah. Isn't this?
Well, I think that you can't get downloaded if you don't I don't know. Isn't it like you can't insult the dirty communist regime in China? Oh, there goes those 1,100 downloads.
What happens if I walk out of this building as dissident seeking asylum at the post movie? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah, Liu Zhibao is going to come sleep on my cot.
They'll make it so that you won't be able to insult Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Or something. Somehow they'll find some inroads to be able to, control.
I don't want to incite Iron Man 3. Andy Lau's going to be in it.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who?
As what?
I don't know. Some Chinese guy in Iron Man 3.
Oh.
Was that the one of the conditions?
Well, who's been cast? Guy Pearce?
Yeah, we know Guy Pearce is in it. Ben Kingsley's in it.
Right, Ben Kingsley.
And
they're filming in Wilmington,
Andy the Fu Manchu? Are they going to bring back Fu Manchu? A politically correct Fu Manchu?
I don't think they're allowed to use the Mandarin, at least probably not specifically. I mean, the guy that they were kind of teasing to sort of be the Mandarin in the first one was sort of like nondescriptly Middle Eastern, so I assume Ben Kingsley will be filling that sort of role.
With the rings? With the power rings?
That would be awesome. I doubt that they'll actually call him the Mandarin, though, which is a shame.
Call him the Clementine. It's a different kind of orange, but it works.
Yeah.
Man, I want to say there were moments watching the Avengers where I was sitting in the row in front of Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, you were a few seats down. And I looked back from time to time after the Hulk had done a couple of his signature comic relief moments. Surprising comic relief. And you were like,
the happiest boy on earth.
Just what is a picture of happiness? When you see somebody
Bob
that's just completely freaking pleased.
I was doing good. I was doing good.
So it lived up to your expectations.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
what were your expectations going in? I mean,
that it would be good. It's lots of action, lots of characters, lots of people punch. There's a lot of punching.
Yep.
And I think that's really kind of what it is. It was like it's I had fun. That's the most I could really hope for out of something like this. It's a lot of fun.
I'm kind of wary to be really, really positive about it. Because I think that when when a movie comes out and it's communally embraced, just loved by everyone, that I think that you give it some time. Of course we're going to find some faults with it, but you give it a little time and you give people some time to get their feet on the floor and get their heads straight about what, they're watching. Yes, it was fun. It was awesome. It was amazing too. But maybe a little bit of getting a little displaced from that, reviews will level out and be kind of real. You know what I mean? Instead of foolishly hyperbolic.
I'm not going to follow up a phrase like foolishly hyperbolic.
But that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Everywhere online.
It's the big event of the moment. Yeah.
I let my friend Jesse do the review because he's just a comic book fan, and his review was complete hyperbolic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. I would never have written that review. I would never really post it if it wasn't this movie. If he wrote that enthusiastically about anything else, and plus he put himself in the review, and I never do that. I never use I. You know, because I am all powerful in my reviewing. I don't need that. They know who the eye is. And I just laughed. I just smiled. I was like, and he was worried that 750 words wasn't enough.
Well, you know, these first person reviews, I think, are certainly something that was promulgated by the internet. You know,
this
whole,
is more of a blog entry than a
the
legitimate
biography
review,
interview.
Well, this is
so
the whole new journalism thing,
way.
isn't it? You know, it's not enough that Anderson Cooper goes down to like the place that's flooded and tells you it's there. He has to go down and like, you know, get in the boat and, you know, pull puppies and shit out of the thing, and it's like, it's, you know, like, I'm part of I'm part of the story thing.
Right. I can, but these are guys just sitting alone in their house. They're not part of anything but their own imagination.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was in a boat going through the flood zone.
You know, there's all the hyperbole online, but we expect the major press, the newspapers and everyone, to keep it real. You know, like level-headed reviews. So they're sort of standing on the outside of the fan consciousness. Generally considered idiocy about a film.
I don't know if it. Well,
the fan press is the fan press is the fan press, but like most of the main press, I think, has been pretty fair to it.
Yeah.
You know, there's not really a lot of like.
Oh, sure, the Times was fair.
Yeah, there's not like the worst reviews of this have been like 2.5 to 3 star reviews. You know, it's not like when Green Lantern came out and there were like 1-star reviews in like major papers. I don't really know what you'd find wrong with this. You know, like, I know that, you know, a lot of people would say, oh, okay, well, it's just not, you know, my thing or whatever. It's kind of a thin story overall, which it is. You know, you know, like, you look like, what's the story of this thing? You know, there's like a magic box of magic. You know, a bad guy wants it, so they get a bunch of guys together and fight him, and that's pretty much it. You know, that's. Yeah, but that's the whole
thing. As it is, it's not like seeing the Hunger Games where I would have to read 100, Avenger comics to understand what the heck was going on.
Well, that's just bad screenwriting on the part of the Hunger Games.
Yeah. And this had, I think, you know, as action packed as everything else that this was, Whedon gives us room to breathe and lets character develop. Some of it in shorthand, sure.
Yeah.
Because we even if you haven't read the books, you've seen most of these movies, you're familiar with these personalities. You know who, Robert Downey plays Iron Man that way. So that's Iron Man to us. Captain America to us.
Yeah.
And you can't wait for them to get together.
That's the fun part of this movie. It's like their banter. Their camaraderie, in a sense, you can tell that they kind of get a kick out of each other's presence. It's like their banter. It's like everything that doesn't exist in some other big, fucking Star Wars. I'm thinking Star Wars. Everything that doesn't exist, everything that's stone cold stupid about the prequels exists in this movie. In other words, you've got the camaraderie, the bickering, the humorous stuff going on. I mean that which actually is better than the action. It frames the action. Now, granted, this is a movie because of its buildup. It has to have like a colossal action scene or sequence or series of events, like to end all action.
Right.
And it does provide that. I mean, it's incredible action.
Yeah.
Like just blow your mind kind of action, right? For possibly the last 45 minutes of the film.
Really?
Oh yeah, that
Really?
if you start counting everything from like when they get to the city, like if that scene begins with Iron Man landing on, like, we're probably gonna spoil the crap out of this, right? It's a podcast. It's gonna go up like a week later. So.
Yeah, I think let's come at this from the
We're not gonna tell
from
them
the
Iron
angle
Man
that
dies, are we?
the movie's out. We're recording this on the Friday, the day of the release,
right.
And we're hoping that most of you who are listening to this have seen it. So we're gonna.
Yeah, okay.
Be totally uninhibited.
So if you count, like the ending
warnings.
scene of, when Iron Man lands on the building to confront Loki, if you count like from there all the way until they beat the bad guys, spoiler alert, the good guys win.
Oh no.
If you count all the way to that, it's a good 40 to 45 minutes of the movie is, just a giant series of fights with the Avengers in the middle of New York or some other city standing in for New York, but it's supposed to be New York, fighting aliens.
And the character, aliens on what?
Bikes.
Yeah,
they're on like motor scooters or
flying motor scooters.
Flying scooters.
What do they call those things? The
like jet skis.
Yeah,
like sky jet skis.
Yeah, aliens on sky jet skis.
Well, they're like the speeder bikes from Star Wars. It's not terribly clear what they do, but they do the hell out of it.
And giant digital worms that create giant digital destruction.
Yeah.
Digital worms.
That's
I
what
don't know
they
why
are.
that makes me laugh. Sorry, I have digital worms. The only when I went into this movie, my fears were that Scarlett Johansson would suck, and she doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
No,
You
she
know?
doesn't. Although I would add that I want to add that this casting is perfect. I cannot imagine better casting. I can't think of any better casting than Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth. And these guys are just, the movie benefits from its casting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, it's incredible.
They actually give
the weak.
performances.
I thought
Yeah.
the weak link was Scarlett Johansson, but she's still great.
Right, right. They give her own fight scene, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yes.
And right then that alleviates your tension.
She's
oh.
beautiful, but physically speaking, I don't see her as someone who's capable of doing the action. I mean, they cut around it.
Yeah.
And they have, a digital version of her do this sort of back thrust that's quite amazing.
Yeah, but I'm sure I'm
in
sure all
that,
those actors
opening
are
scene fight was
digitized to
pretty
hell to
amazing.
make it
Yeah,
work. Besides, she can just walk away and it kills me. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's quite
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
she has a pretty savage beatdown fight with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That was crazy ass.
Well, it's good to have the two. It's you can tell that they're sort of working overtime to find like reasons to justify why Hawkeye and the Black Widow need to be in the movie. They really there because they need more people, and it's always good to have like normal human people there.
Yeah.
But like you get to
It's
like
their normal
the,
human fight.
the big like during like the big end set piece, you have like like one guy is 8 feet tall and invincible, and another guy's shooting lightning at people, and every once in a while they cut back to like the Black Widow just kind of firing 2 pistols into
Yeah.
the air, and
I'm
it's like,
shooting arrows.
really, what is she
I just
doing?
didn't. I mean, she still defies the laws of physics because she's jumping from the street to one of these flying jet skis, from the jet ski to the building.
Well,
she's
she-
bouncing around the front. I mean, she
gets
takes the
thrown up
beating.
there,
She's human.
Yeah.
Bodies don't bounce back like that.
Well, yeah, but
That body can.
things don't monsters don't come out of the sky. It's
Yes, I know. It's movie
that
physics.
kind of movie. It's
Action figure violence.
she's wearing some kind of shield costume, so that means you can do stuff, I guess.
I also
Interesting.
my other point that before I went in was, could Mark Ruffalo be Bruce Banner? And he does a really good job.
Yeah.
He's much more interesting than the first two Bruce Banners were.
Yeah, he's got it figured out.
Yeah.
This is the Hulk that works.
Yeah.
And
You know,
the CGI Hulk
mean,
looks a lot better.
I hate
Yeah.
to say it.
They've I think they've kind of figured the Hulk out.
Did they solve the rubberness?
Oh, and the size too. He's just that much bigger, but not
Yeah,
huge. And
He's
not
just big enough.
He's ugly.
Yeah.
He's ugly.
Which
But-
leads me to the question, like, what did you think was wrong with Incredible Hulk?
I didn't think anything was wrong with Incredible Hulk, the
Itself.
the movie. The movie, it's not as good. It suffers from being out the same year as Iron Man. It's not quite as good a movie as Iron Man was. It's the CGI in that particular one was really not quite up to snuff. The Hulk looks really fake in the Incredible Hulk movie. The Ang Lee Hulk has its own problems, but its Hulk looked much better than the second Hulk. The other monster, the Abomination, didn't look very good at all.
right.
I think of all the our Marvel incarnations, it's technology kept this one from. But technology and design kept this one from being what it can be, is thought to be.
Well, they've worked the Hulk out, and also the Hulk doesn't have to carry the whole movie. So
Right, right.
he can be really cool for the scenes he's there in, but he doesn't have to be the focus of every scene. And I think they kind of figured out what the other two Hulk movies kind of forgot, which is the Hulk. Everyone thinks now of, because comic books have been written for like 20 and 30-year-olds for the past 15, 20 years, and the Hulk is always it's so dark and brooding and my life is ruined and oh my god. But being Bruce Banner probably sucks, but being the Hulk is fun.
Yeah.
and this movie makes the Hulk seems to have fun. I mean, it's
yes.
still scary,
Yeah.
but like it's the Hulk, like all of the characters sort of the whole movie is sort of running on adults who kind of have running around like 12-year-olds. The Hulk is kind of a giant 6-year-old, and it's it's fun. They have a lot of fun with the Hulk. They have the Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner is just kind of haunted enough
Yeah, but he's not going for like Shakespearean haunting.
Yeah, he's not.
Just, you know.
Yeah, that's Thor's job.
Yeah.
Thor's
He's a quiet, silent actor. He's not he's not like Mr. Energy and lively in your face. So it works for the Hulk.
Yeah. And they have a really good bad guy in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, which you can't underestimate because, like,
who'd have thought? You know,
in the Ang Lee movie, I was like, oh, Nick Nolte. That doesn't work.
What really works about him is the simplicity of his intent.
Yeah.
It's just to destroy and conquer.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost Terminator-like in a way. You know, although, but he's also, you know, since he's got this huge amount of angst towards Thor, the way they play off each other is amusing. I mean, he's a really great bad guy, but he also has a sense of humor, and the humor is played on him. You know, I think a couple of the funniest moments of the movie is when Loki thinks he's got it all together. When he thinks, you know, he's got the cards, and then he doesn't. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. They really lucked out. John is pantomiming a great scene from the movie.
You know, I wonder if they knew this when they were casting what's his name who plays Loki.
I don't know, because it really works. It works out for them thematically because Tom Hiddleston, and it because in the Avengers, you know, the comics all the way back 1963, Loki was the bad guy in the first one.
Right.
So it sort of got them all together, and really it works out really good for them this way because he's really the only bad guy that could have come back from any of the previous movies that you would need all of the Avengers to fight, because he's a god and he's got all these powers, so he's kind of threatening. Right. And, you know, this way they don't have to make up a new bad guy for the movie, which is good because you don't have to spend like the whole first half of the movie explaining who the bad guy is. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they have to get to rhyme it with the original books, and they get, you know, probably the most interesting bad guy out of all of the movies, and get him to come back and do it again. I think they really lucked out in that regard.
Yeah.
I mean, this being Marvel, the way that they shoot things, I can almost guarantee you they did not know what the bad guy in the Avengers was going to be before they sat down to write the damn thing.
I think that Hiddleston's performance in Thor kind of gave them direction that they need. I mean, Whedon, I'm thinking, wrote the script even after Thor was already completed. So he could take certain things from the other movies and elaborate upon them. So I think that he'd probably say that this was, you know, just like you said, fortunate.
Yeah, well, they
worked out.
Well, they've got you know, they have plenty of room since, you know, all of these movies of, you know, they have Thor is all about space and such, and Captain America with the science. They've got a lot of. There's nothing you really can't do in the rules of how they've set this up. It's not like in like the current Batman movies where you couldn't bring in someone like Poison Ivy or the Man Bat or something because they're just too weird. Yeah, and it wouldn't like fit. But, you know, in this one, it's like, you know, in the Thor movie, you know, we said that there are space Vikings and a whole planet of ice giants and stuff. So there's really nothing you can't do. But, you know, I think they made the right call here. I know they were making Captain America and Thor at the same time. And then right after that, they immediately went into shooting the Avengers. So they probably must have figured out.
And what's great about this film is that, okay, all the exposition was taken care of by the other 5 films. And each of the characters in this film, they all get their time. Yeah, it's somehow it's everything is what you sort of come to expect as a comic book fan. You get that from each of these characters. They all, you know, have their moments in the sun. You know, and in a way, the way they all contribute to the battle at the end sort of represents the supposed hierarchy in the Avengers. Yeah, you know, who actually saw who's like the real, you know. The dude, you know what I mean? It's like they all participate in a way that sort of represents, you know, maybe where they fall in the Marvel universe in terms of overall importance. Yeah, I don't know.
And I have to give Whedon credit for, and I won't spoil this, but an event happens in the movie and it's heartbreaking. Oh. And it spurs the Avengers to, you know, drop their baggage, band together, and fight.
Go avenge something.
It totally It's absolutely necessary and unexpected.
Yes, and it's ballsy too. Because
I'm not going to call it. It's ballsy. I'm not going to say it's super unexpected, but
I was totally surprised.
Well, if only because Joss Whedon is sort of like one of the things he's notorious for is if a character is like the most likable character in something, he will kill them.
Do we just want to in order to float this subject? Do we just want to say what happens?
Yeah, I think so.
Why don't we do a red herring? We'll say that,
Okay, spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Agent Coulson eats it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is the character that we
He's been in all
connect
the others,
with.
right?
He's like
He's been in
our
most of them,
human
yeah.
connection. He's the fan of these guys like we are, except he joins them on screen.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of people were pretty much saying
heartbreaking.
that if someone was going to die, it was going to have to be him.
Yeah.
Because he's the only guy who doesn't have a movie coming out after this. Like they can't kill Iron Man because they're already making Iron Man.
I mean, like,
3.
in what other characters in any of the other Marvel movies have had good guy character deaths?
Not
You know,
many.
I mean, they don't
No,
put them out.
Captain America killed Bucky.
Yeah.
But
you know, he
again,
wasn't-
everyone sees that coming because that's what
and
happens.
that's such
in
a
the
part
comics.
of the Captain American book.
He's the minute he shows up and says his name, it's like, oh, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna come back, and Captain America 2 or 3 is a bad guy, probably.
Great.
Thanks, Bob.
Another spoiler.
Thanks, Bob.
You heard it here first.
Oh, that's a 15-year-old story.
Anything can happen. It's comics.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't get too broken up about this one right here because they could. I'm sure they could find a way to drag him back.
Clone.
Man, but Loki, man, is insidious. The way he turns Hawkeye.
Yeah.
You know, like I think if I had any expectation for this film is that I wanted to see Hawkeye's character get going, and the whole you don't actually see this actualized version of it until he's no longer being used as a tool, as a drone, you know.
It's a nice screenwriting solution to giving him something to do, even though realistically how useful really is the bow and arrow guy.
Yeah.
But
Even as a kid reading the comics, you knew that. It's like, he's got one that's got a boxing glove on the end.
Does Loki's whatever that thing is that saber?
he has they keep calling it the
staff,
scepter or the spear.
Yes. Does that exist in the comics?
Loki always has some sort of like magic weapon type thing, but this is something new for the movie. Mm-hmm. It's just it's like a lot of other things. I like that this movie does sort of run on the sort of comic book logic into how things work, because like we have they're fighting over the Tesseract, the cosmic cube, whatever you want to call it, it's basically like the little glowy box of evil from Captain America that they have again. And in Captain America, it like made laser guns, and in this one, it opens portals to outer space. And Loki's spear
It's the do anything box.
Yeah, it's all of these magical things. They're just stuff that does whatever the writer says they do. So like Loki has like a magic spear that turns you evil and also shoots blue stuff out of it to blow you up.
So he basically taps a character's heart, a person's heart, and it infuses their essence. They become a drone for Loki.
Yeah. He possesses people, I guess, which is
Changes the color of their eyes.
It's a good bad guy gag.
Yeah.
Star Trekian in a way. In a way. Perhaps.
We need to break out the toys or hand puppets.
What we need is to talk about Samuel L. Jackson, because he's basically the master of ceremonies in this film. He's like the ringleader, and what he brings is Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's been almost 6 months since the last Samuel L. Jackson movie, so he was due.
Oh yeah.
It's strange that, in a way, it's like this Samuel L. Jackson's participation in this universe prior to the film has existed in what? Post-credit sequences.
He's in the post-credits of Iron Man 1. He's in post-credits of Iron Man 2. No, he's in all of Iron Man 2.
Oh, but then Captain America, he's in the actual...
Actually, yeah, the only one he's not in is the Hulk and Thor. Is Hulk and... the only one he's not in is Hulk, because he's in all of the other ones. He's at the very end of Captain America. He's at the very end of Thor.
Yeah.
With Stellan Skarsgård.
So is he going to get his own movie, the Nick Fury movie? God,
I don't know.
I'm sure they want him to.
There's ideas floating back and forth as to what they're going to do. I mean, I think the things that are going forward right now are Fox is full speed ahead on the X-Men sequel, and they're also doing another Wolverine, and I think that's because they're doing that to keep the copyrights.
Yeah,
they got to do it before that stuff defaults.
Yeah.
But as far as what Disney's going to do with Marvel, Bob might know.
They're already.
Well, there's Iron Man 3, of course.
Yeah, they're in production on Iron Man. The thing is, when they got these actors, they signed them to like 9-picture deals.
Yeah.
Which
Holy shit, I thought it was 3 pictures.
So they all had to do 3 of their own movies and 3 Avengers. They have to do 3 of their own movies and then 3 Avengers. And I think for some of them, like cameos in other people's movies count for that. So we won't necessarily be seeing like Captain America hanging out with Iron Man in Iron Man 3. I'm sure he's got his own stuff to do.
Would love to see Scarlett Johansson in her own flick. Although I don't think that's going to happen because historically, the female superhero films don't really perform.
They don't, but they don't usually have this behind them.
Yeah, this juggernaut's going pretty.
Yeah,
pretty hot and heavy right now. They could give her anything.
They could give her. I mean, I don't think that they'll. If the trick of this will be is like so far every one of Marvel's movies has been like $100 million hit. They've made every one of them has been huge. Open and they did huge. Do they also have it in them now that they're part of the Disney empire to make a movie that maybe only because like realistically a Black Widow movie is not going to be $100 million movie because what the fuck is she going to do?
Right.
But like how much money did Salt make? Which is basically what a Black Widow movie would be. Way. But like if you could spend like $50 million, 10 of which is probably goes to getting Scarlett Johansson back on set.
I think it's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And maybe you could make one of those and be happy with only making like $90 million or so. I mean, I know they've got characters that they want to make movies out of. That like they want to do an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
I would love to see an Ant-Man movie. I know they've been trying to make this movie forever. Ant-Man is not going to make $100 million at the box office, but if you make it for about $30 million. You can turn a profit on like an Ant-Man movie. So where they go next?
Well, I'm sure Captain America is got to be having his own. I mean, after 360 million.
Yeah, Captain America.
That one's got to be.
Captain America gets his own. They know they're doing at least 2 more. Thor, at least 2 more Captain America,
and people have been calling for Mark Ruffalo to have his own Hulk flick.
Yeah,
I mean, he works great as a supporting character here, but seeing how he's proven that, or Marvel and him, with help from Industrial Light and Magic, has proven that they can do this. They can. They can basically do whatever they want.
Well, they were talking about a Hulk TV show again.
Oh, yeah, that's been.
But there hasn't been any word on that, and it's a Guillermo del Toro project.
John Cena could play the Hulk. Paint him green. Why? He's got the right. He's got the body. He's got the right attitude. You know what they should do is remember.
It'll be all digital.
They used to be comic book collections, and it'd be like super golden issue or whatever, and it'd be like 50 cents more, or now it'd be like $6 more, and it would be a Superman story, Supergirl story, and a Superdog story. They'd be like 3 different heroes, tied together with some really bad, like one panel of and now here's a story from Jimmy Olsen.
They could probably put like Samuel L. Jackson and Scarlett Johansson in one movie and just go, okay, this is Shield's movie. Yeah. This is just their movie, and you could do that.
And who is the girl, the woman on the Shield plane?
Colby Smulders, playing Maria Hill.
Yeah.
She was fine.
Yeah, she was good. It's a weird cameo because she's a character from the comics, but she doesn't really have anything to do in the movie. She's just sort of if a line like if Nick Fury's had too many lines in one scene, she gets a couple of the lines.
Yeah,
but it's good to have her around. I'm sure they'll. Yeah. I'm sure they're thinking of something.
She's got her act together, and she's in the movie, I believe, because she was Joss's choice for Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and that didn't.
Warner
happen.
Brothers is kicking themselves. Like right now, like
this was the guy who was going to make Wonder Woman.
The angry
maybe he can do it now.
The most nervous studios this weekend were Sony Pictures and Warner Brothers coming out of this because Warner Brothers knows that everyone is like gets out of and looks at them and goes, okay, so where's our Justice League movie? Why aren't you making that? And, they just kind of have to say, well, we're not allowed to use Batman until Christopher Nolan is done with him.
I mean, does DC Comics have it going the way Marvel's film wing has it going?
No, they don't. They have Batman. They had... The Green Lantern was supposed to be like their Iron Man. Like, that's seeded with all kinds of stuff that like was supposed to lead into, like, more DC Universe movies. Yeah. And nobody gave a fuck. So that's done.
Yeah.
And they've got their Batman movie and Christopher Nolan, in order to keep him happy in making Batman movies, they have not allowed anyone else to so much as touch Batman.
It would take them 4 more movies establishing the other characters as well as Batman to even come close to something like Justice League.
I don't know that they need to.
I read the transcript of the press conference on the junket, and someone asked Josh
for the
Whedon,
Avengers.
Yeah, and someone asked Josh Whedon what it would take. What advice did he have for DC to get their Justice League movie off the ground? And his advice was, call me.
Good on them, because I mean they've got his Wonder Woman script. They paid for it. It's still sitting there. It's usable.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I do like the idea.
I think Marvel is going to back a dump truck of money up to his house, though, and to keep him on.
And he kind of had free reign on the Avengers. I mean, he took this. He said that I need to write this script completely myself. I need to do what I need to do to make this.
Yeah,
and he did.
He's got. We'll see. Marvel has been notorious for not for once they have the first one for not playing ball with the directors on these things. Like Jon Favreau is not coming back for another Iron Man movie because he just doesn't want to put up with them on the business level.
Does that mean he'll be doing Cowboys and Aliens too?
He's doing he's doing a Disney movie. He's doing the Magic Kingdom movie at Disney, which is like it. Oh,
What?
You didn't hear it? Oh yeah,
No.
Disney bought a script that the pitch for the script was, okay, did you guys see Night at the Museum? Okay, what if that happened in your park? And Disney said, you know what? We can't believe we haven't thought of that. Let's make that movie. So he's doing that at Disney.
Man, I would love to see him make a Space Mountain movie. I've always loved that ride. Anyway,
It's on the list.
let's talk about what we think was wrong with the film. Anything? Does anything come to mind? There must be something wrong with the Avengers.
I would have given Colby Smulders a little more to do.
That was kind of, yeah. So
There's
that was
one
one
of
thing
them.
I was thinking of too.
I would say if they make another one, when they make the next one, it was good to have kind of a not a thin story, but a very basic story for this one. I don't think that's going to work twice, since in this one the story kind of needs to be just okay. There's some aliens. What do they do? Don't worry about it. They're just like literally the aliens in this. People acted like this was a surprise before the movie came out. Like, oh, what are the aliens going to be? And they're just called the Chitauri. It's just a random reference to some stuff. They're not like a big important alien race from the Marvel universe. They're like the Putty Patrol from the Power Rangers. They're just there to get thrown around the screen. And literally that's what it looks like. This movie looks like the biggest, most expensive episode of Power Rangers that anyone has ever made. And that's as it should be.
Yeah.
But if they're going to have, that sort of thing, I don't think that a story that boils down to bad guys are coming, get all the good guys we know together to punch them is going to work a second time. They're probably going to have to think of something a little more with a little more meat on it.
Well. Okay. So that being said, here's a question for you: What are they actually fighting for? I mean, what I loved about this movie, I said this after I left the film, and I Facebooked it. I said I was so happy watching this. I nearly cried twice, and both of those times where I got all. In my chest, right here, in my heart, was when the team was fighting together. There was one crazy-ass scene where the shot goes from the ground with Captain America and Thor doing their stuff, and then it goes up through the jet skis to the Hulk doing his stuff. I mean, it's one shot that covers every character doing their thing, and it just fucking blew me away. I mean, to me, that was like state-of-the-art filmmaking. There was something about the combination of the characters and the technology that it just I can't explain it. It was like a nexus moment, But let me ask you this: what are they fighting for? I mean, is it like in Tony Stark's case? Is he doing this because of ego? Is he doing this because he's just wants to prove that he's the smartest playboy on the planet, or Captain America? He's genuinely doing it.
It's kind of in the name.
It's in the name. Or Thor. I mean, they all have their different reasons, but basically, is it what is it? Is it ego?
No, someone.
Are they truly doing it because they love humanity?
No, someone killed their friend.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
They're gonna go kill him.
Yep. And they've got
So is that wrong? I mean, shouldn't it be a larger? We have to assume that they've been brought together to defend humanity, but something happens that makes them reach deeper, and it's it's like a singular thing as opposed to like we're defending humans.
I didn't think there was
just
that big,
food for thought.
Well, they've got a friend.
Well, motivation is very important
for a lot. I mean, it's like these. One of the other things that I like about these, especially Thor, of all the Marvel movies, the one that this feels the most like is Thor. I think in terms of it kind of knows that's like, look, maybe Iron Man is aimed at a slightly older audience because it has this Tom Clancy thing and middle-aged guy relationship thing. Fundamentally, this movie sort of pitched at 10-year-olds. And it's got sort of a kid's understanding things like in The Dark Knight, which is aiming at like a much more like adult audience, quote unquote, it's a metaphor for terrorism, and it's all about crime and law and what is right. And in this one, like the big like lesson of the movie is, teamwork is important.
Well, there is that. There also, it's like you stand by who you are. That's one of the things that Captain America does.
Yeah.
Even though, like some of the funniest moments in the movie are the fact that are parts where Tony Stark makes fun of Captain America for being a throwback.
Yeah.
Just not being with it. Just not getting like today's references, because everything is just like a mishmash of cultural, touch bone. It's like postmodern whatever. It's and he doesn't. It just falls flat on him. But
Captain America's like somebody's dad as a superhero.
But he stands true, and he's almost immovable on it, because what one of these guys was saying, some guy was saying after the movie, so what's the deal with Captain America saying, "Your God, your gods"? You mean the one God?
That's a great bit.
It's Captain America.
Right.
I mean, it's not Marvel saying that. It's just a guy that believes what he believes, regardless
died in 1940, whatever.
Whatever Thor brings to town.
Yeah, he's
John. They're coming again.
Good.
Oh crap.
Hook and ladder.
It's Disney with an injunction. Don't talk about our movie.
Go ahead. Oh no, you go ahead.
Well, you were saying, what was wrong with the movie, or what do we think was wrong with the movie?
Yeah.
To me, even though I had a blast watching it,
Go for it.
it's pretty forgettable. Another movie's going to replace this. Next big budget slapdash boom 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 stuff is going to replace this in my memory, except for Agent Coulson dying, which I thought was a great piece of comic book. But the rest of
Also
it, gone.
Okay.
I don't want to go back and see it again.
You did?
I mean, when I saw Iron Man, I was blown away. Captain America, blown away, big time. This one, I had a blast.
I think this
but
is a good enough
nothing
film
tugged at
that
me. Nothing
really
held me beyond.
Well, I see what you're saying, but I think this has real repeat value.
It might. I mean, just for the fun part, but there was no heart to it besides Agent Coulson. No soul to it for me.
I don't know. I think regarding Agent Coulson, I think the other questionable thing here is, and this is an element that I haven't heard other people talk about, is the trustworthiness of Nick Fury, because he kind of dupes the Avengers to get them to go deep. Like this is what you need to fight for, and it kind of makes Nick Fury questionable. Like, can you trust him? He's got. What's the deal with Nick Fury? He's this secret government guy. Maybe he's got like 50 missions going on.
Yeah.
All these secret things and stuff. Is he a trustworthy guy? He kind of duped Captain America. And then he does it again here in the movies. So I'm like, what's this?
But Bob, isn't that true to the comic too? That Fury's never really one of them. He's
not really. It's the Nick Fury of the movies is a kind of a mix of like the traditional Marvel Nick Fury and the Ultimate Universe version, which is just Samuel L. Jackson. And the way that they've in the comics, at least, Nick Fury is never like the leader of the Avengers. In the Ultimate comics, he is the guy who sort of orders them around, but usually the Avengers is weird in the comics. The Avengers is really their sort of superhero roommates. Like, they all sort of live together in a brownstone in New York, and just, when bad stuff happens, they go out and fight it. Because the Avengers was traditionally made up of Marvel characters who were not the most popular guys at the time. Like Spider-Man wasn't traditionally an Avenger.
Yeah, sure.
That sort of
but
thing.
The team is greater than the whole, just like the Beatles.
But it's not like the Justice League, where it's literally all the most popular guys go on the team. But
and Hawkman shows up. We're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, why? That's another thing. I'm like why Hawkman? Is he really integral? Hawkeye. Fuck, man. I just keep thinking of Flash Gordon. Is he really integral to the lore of the Avengers?
He's kind of a classic figure in the Avengers. The original 5 Avengers were the Hulk, Iron Man, Giant Man, the Wasp, and Thor. And and that was like in the first book. And then right around the third book, they got rid of the Hulk, because they just had the Hulk decide he didn't want to be on the team and leave, because they sort of figured out very quickly that the Hulk doesn't make much sense. Because if he's the Hulk, he's going to be too angry to hang around and be friends with everyone.
It's just a very powerful weapon that you need to point in the right direction.
And plus, it's more fun to have
Hulk.
the Avengers fight the Hulk usually in the comics than it is to have him like be like hanging around at breakfast. and then they didn't bring Captain America in until like the 4th issue, and then he immediately became like the focus of the book and the leader of the Avengers. Oh wow, I know an actual issue number, so I'm going to totally geek out and do this. Avengers
Now,
number.
this is geeking out. Go ahead.
Avengers number 16. They sent all of the traditional Avengers. All said, we're kind of done with this, and they left Captain America to put a new team together that was made of reformed supervillains, and that was Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Hawkeye. And for whatever reason, Hawkeye is the one that like stuck. And for the longest time, like one of the central relationships in the Avengers was Captain America and Hawkeye as like the
Lovers.
the angry guy and the not so angry. Like Hawkeye was kind of Wolverine before Wolverine for Marvel. So they've got him. He's in there because he's popular. Basically, he's on the team because he's popular.
You still in geek mode?
Oh yeah.
All right. So when Hulk, there was a book that had Hulk and Submariner.
The Defenders.
That book would make a great movie.
I would love to see a Defenders movie.
Did you ever read Defenders comic?
Yes. In fact, I've probably got some issues over there in the box.
So silly.
Yeah, the Defenders is, for a while their team books were so popular because of X-Men, they would just take any group of guys and stick them on a team.
Yeah.
Like I think there was was it that the Champions was like Ghost Rider, Hercules, and the Silver Surfer. And it was like what the fuck are these guys doing like hanging out together? And it was like, oh no, we're the champions. Oh sure you are.
But it was Hulk, Submariner. Weren't there like 2 others?
I want to say Captain Marvel was one of the Defenders.
Okay.
And I think Thanos may have actually briefly been a Defender when he was a good guy, which makes no sense.
I remember thinking
but...
that was the coolest book ever.
Whatever happened with Wasp?
I don't know.
Converted.
I don't know what they're doing with the well, the Wasp is sort of integral to Ant-Man. If they did I'll nerd out again for a moment.
That happens again.
That's
an Edgar Wright project.
Right, that's an Edgar Wright. Ant-Man is traditionally Hank Pym, who invents the thing that makes him shrink, but he also invents the thing that makes him very big.
Right.
So he is alternately Ant-Man and Giant Man. And then later on, when he could only be giant, he was Giant Man, then briefly Goliath, when he couldn't shrink back down. Then he only could shrink and changed his name to Yellow Jacket, and I don't know what the hell he is now.
Ant-Man and Giant Man. Can't you see the artist pitching that one at Marvel right now?
Giant Man.
Ant-Man and Giant Man.
So I think if they were going to do the Wasp, they would probably hold her off for like the Ant-Man movie, because it only makes sense. Because they need some more women on this team. They need some women, and they need maybe a little more diversity. I mean, the only person of color on the team is only a person of color half the time, and he's green. I don't know that it counts.
I thought you were talking about James Jackson.
Bob, I'm glad you're here, so you can clear this up for me. What are these guys that Nick Fury's? Who are these people he's talking to on the Fortress?
Well, one of them is Jenny Agutter from Logan's Run, still alive.
Didn't Michael Ironside?
No,
why was I thinking him?
Powers Booth.
Powers Booth. God damn it! I get those guys mixed up all the time.
Powers Booth, Jenny Agutter. One of them I think is is it Rick Yoon, who was in Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah.
Because he's one of them, and the other one I didn't recognize. I don't think they're supposed to be anyone special. I didn't recognize anyone special. They just seem to be.
They're just
What
like
movie
the
was
government
Powers
council.
Booth in, though? Was it
Tombstone?
No, but
Awesome.
Was he in
Tombstone.
Sin City?
Yeah, he was in Sin City. He was Senator Rourke in Sin City.
Okay.
He has like one scene with Bruce Willis, but it's pretty good. He's good. He has a good angry voice for he's like the only guy that you could plausibly buy ordering Samuel L. Jackson around.
Yeah.
Sort of over a computer monitor, but still.
Yeah, I just was thinking that, like, who are they? What are they reporting to the government? Who are they reporting?
Well, Shield is government.
Right.
I mean, they'd have to be. They have all that military equipment, but it's. I think they do a pretty good job of making, because all superheroes have to be rebels in some way now. Like in Captain America, it's okay that he's fighting for the army and the government because it's like the 40s.
I mean, it's like each of these characters has their own issue.
Yeah.
Tony Stark is he's super smart and all, but he lacks a certain.
Well, he's a dick.
Yeah, basically that's it.
He lacks a certain. He's a dick.
And Thor, because of his fish out of water thing, is he doesn't have the social. Whatever.
They use...
and then Captain America, fish out of water too, but it's just he doesn't seem to have any problems. Like Captain America, opposite of Batman, he doesn't really have an issue. He's not a brooding guy.
Well, he's unstuck in time now. That's sort of what he's got going now. Yeah. Is that he's it's like Austin Powers. He's in the future and doesn't get it.
Yeah.
That would be a good matchup, Captain America and
But
Austin Powers.
the real thing that makes this movie like just so entertaining is it is almost as much a comedy as it is anything else.
Yeah.
And that's because of Joss Whedon, and that's because of the script and the talent of these actors.
Yeah.
The little things they do is just like you can sit there and watch Mark Ruffalo and Tony Stark banter, and it's entertaining as hell.
And that's
I
one of
mean,
the nicest
just
surprises in the
entertaining.
movie.
Yeah.
Is that because that is not something from the comics that Tony Stark and Bruce Banner would like be friends, and it
Yeah.
seems to be. It's one of the like in the going into the movie. I was my whole thing was on. I really want to see how they handle Iron Man and Captain America because they're traditionally like best buddies in the comics eventually, and they set up a little bit of it with Iron Man's father being a character in Captain America, and I was focused on that. And then when the movie plays out, and it's like, yeah, they have a few scenes, but like the real kind of surprise buddy relationship is that Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo get along like brothers.
And you couldn't love them anymore.
Yeah, they
for
bind-
just there's just so friendly.
They
and
bind over
it's funny.
science. They're both,
Yeah.
like ultra scientists. But then I love the way that Tony Stark really wants to see him do it.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you?
He's that kind of guy. He's just
come on,
he's
do
a
it.
funny guy. There's something about Tony Stark that kind of wants to get under people's skin
Yeah,
and piss them
especially if
off,
that
and that
person's-
works with Mark Ruffalo with the Hulk.
Yeah, if that person's going to be big and green when you do it, so he's just like poking him. And it's funny,
Like John, with do you think like with you and your brother, is there something your brother does? Because my brother does this. There's always something that he wants to be funny, but he wants to dig a little. He wants
That'd
to.
be
He
me.
wants
I'm
to.
that guy.
He wants to like do something slightly annoying,
That's me,
And
that's my
and Tony Stark is just like he feels like he can just hair trigger the Hulk for the fun of it.
Yeah.
he also has the Hulk figured out earlier than anyone else. I mean, like it's the little details, and like everyone gives.
Because he loves that thing you do when you turn big and green. And
it's like the people even people who like Joss Whedon underrate him because it always tends to come back to, oh, he's such a great writer of quips and banter, but he also really gets characters and actors in really, and it's an interesting.
That's the great part of Buffy and the great part of Firefly is the characters. What Joss is he's written for him.
And it's an interesting detail because usually in all of the Hulk movies up to this point and in most Hulk stories, the way everyone reacts to the Hulk is, oh my God, the Hulk is scary. Oh, Bruce Banner, we're kind of wary around you. And it's sort of fun that in this one, Iron Man, who doesn't take anything seriously, immediately wants to be the guy's friend. He's poking at him, but he immediately, compliments him on the bridge. And they have, in the dialogue scenes, the whole scene is about Banner, being afraid and hating himself and not liking the Hulk. And, Tony Stark going to him and saying, the Hulk is kind of cool. Maybe you should try that more often. This might be a good. It's a weird detail that Iron Man, who is kind of the asshole of the team, finds this guy and immediately says, what, I want to be this guy's buddy.
As much as they prove themselves in battle, in fighting too, like the thing that they really want is to show you that they're relevant. Like that Captain America was able to. Oh my God, I got that reference. See, I've done that. All they want to do is show that they're capable to each other. Well, whereas maybe Stark doesn't worry about that. He just sort of assumes that he's always the smartest guy in the room.
Well, take away the iron suit, and what is he? Millionaire, playboy,
billionaire, genius, playboy, philanthropist.
Yeah,
it's
we're talking about well-written banter.
And he probably mixes a pretty good drink.
Probably does. Well-written banter between characters. Tony Stark, Pepper Potts. She's not in it a lot, but that is like Tracy Hepburn level banter.
Well, yeah, and Gwyneth Paltrow appearing in the movie really solidifies the character of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It reminds you that this isn't Robert Downey Jr. as like Sherlock Holmes or anything else. This is Tony Stark.
And she has to anchor that madness of his in the performance by, every time he says something, boom, she cuts him off at the knees with a line. Yeah. And it's just fun to watch him. He tries again and boom, cuts him off. And it's romantic banter as hell. It's romantic as hell to hear him banter this. And then, she realizes, the world's got to be saved. She'll be back later.
She's this thing that'll be there for him. She's sort of she's in his corner, and it's a part of the Tony Stark essence.
Well, what are they fighting for? I guess that's some right there.
And she keeps him real.
For her. She
she
looks great.
Yeah. It's. I don't know when did this thing happen that people were supposed to hate Gwyneth Paltrow. I never got that.
It was yesterday around 1:00.
Well, no, it's like it just seemed like for a while that it was like, you know, everyone said, "Man, she should go away," and then she did for a while.
Yeah,
and everyone was like, "Oh, wow, it's, you know, I never got that."
It
one.
might have happened sometime after Sky Captain.
I'm thinking duets.
Or
Duets
Okay, Duets was pretty bad.
Or Glee. It could have evolved into that. Yeah,
Is she on Glee?
Yes, a couple times.
At some point, I have to watch this show.
Well, we talked about this.
She has a music career.
You weren't here, Bob. But
she's-
I did a DVD. It was 4 Gwyneth Paltrow movies.
Oh, yeah, I think I was here for that. Yeah,
and you really appreciate, you know, that she can act, you know, and she's good, but she just did a string of really awful movies.
yeah.
You got to pay the rent.
That's
Gotta
what
pay
I
the
keep
mortgage.
telling myself. That's
keep
why
working.
I watch them.
Was it the Stewardess movie that did it for a while? Was
No,
that
that movie, that's one
amusing film.
I is in that box set, and I revisited up
From the Top or something.
View from the Top.
View
Yeah.
from the Top.
And I rewatched it, and watching her fight Christina Applegate is just like
Nice.
hot and funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that movie, I'm sure that movie put a nail in, you know, one more nail in her coffin. But now looking back, it's actually pretty good.
The thing that's bothering me right now about the Avengers is the thing that's totally expected, and the fact that, like, you know, I have tons of film friends online, cinephile friends online, and I feel like I'm just trying to protect myself now from X-Men banner. You know what I mean? The banter, the quips, the pithy little statements. You know, it's everywhere.
Yep.
It's everywhere. And I have a certain empathy towards people reading some of those things who haven't seen the movie yet, and then it gets spoiled. Like people having, you know, reading the forums at ACIN, and then, oh, by the way, we will, you know, this happened in the end credits. You know,
If you're reading forums at AICN, especially now,
I actually got that as secondhand news.
yeah,
I avoid AICN.
You kind of have to, like, I'm sure, like, Twitter is, you know, especially after tonight, you know, is going to be just nonstop. People going, oh, you know, it was awesome. You know, it was awesome. You know, it was awesome. You know, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, you can avoid that stuff if you need.
And the thing is that we're just the hypocrisy here is that we're just adding to it. You know what I mean? Because we'll post our podcast, and you know, people they'll get a kick out of it. And then, you know, it's just one more thing into, you know, thrown into the giant universe of the Avengers.
I'm glad I'm not into all this stuff.
Discussion.
I'm still amazed I get messages on my phone. So I don't know about these chat rooms or looking for this shit. I avoid it. It's not even I avoid it. I don't know it's there. I don't care to know it's there. So I'm glad for that. I just like
there are times during the year when avoiding movie news sites is just the best way to solve any
I
spoiler
live that
problems.
24/7, dude.
It's my business. I can't.
Right,
but
right. I guess it could be
It's
mine.
what
but
I
just
do too,
refuse.
you know?
There's too much other stuff on the internet to look at. That's all I'm saying.
Talking about that end credits scene,
Yeah.
can you explain the meaning of that to?
Now okay. Now
I'm going to say me.
for people who went back now,
because I thought
I assume we're talking about the one in the middle.
I thought I knew what it was really
There's
about,
one
but
at the end
basically,
then.
it's
Yes, there is a new one at the end that was not on the first print that was sent out that a lot of people saw a week ago and was not. in the
Jon
European
Favreau
version.
did that with Iron Man, and I
Yeah.
guess they've kind of did it. He's
you
an
see the
executive
end
credits?
producer on this.
Yeah.
What is
So
it?
there's another. It's basically there's another scene after the credits,
Yeah,
not during the
there's
credits.
a post-credit scene which is just a joke. Which is, if you remember, towards the end of the movie, Iron Man makes a statement that they should all go out and get shawarma, which like Middle
Oh
Eastern
my
food.
God.
Right.
And the scene is just a cut inside a dialogue-free like minute and a half of the Avengers in their like half in, half out of their uniforms, sitting around like a shawarma fast food place, just eating, and just kind of like look at each other, going like, yep,
I have got to see that.
That's pretty.
It's a good bit. So so you mean the one in the middle of?
Did
the
they have this?
credits.
So Bob, you've seen it twice.
Oh yeah.
Did they have this at the second screening?
Yeah, it was the second screening that had the extra scene on it. Which
Was
I
that a
guess-
surprise, or did you know it beforehand?
Well, I had heard that everyone heard that they had shot something.
and this was the scene that they had shot.
Yeah, this is the scene that they got
There
everyone
were
back together and
websites
shot.
just coming out confirm. Like I think am I wrong? Slash Film confirmed that there was nothing filmed.
Yeah, well, some people said there was nothing. Some people said there was something. Like the story was that they wanted it to be a surprise, but Robert Downey Jr. told the press. So you know, I don't know, but
I guess the Marvel brass.
If you look
didn't,
at it close, you can see
him a
Chris Evans as Captain America is eating with his hand up against his face because he's covering up the beard that he grew in between wrapping the movie and now, because they just kind of Marvel likes to, if the actors are all in the same city, they call them up and say, "You're still under contract. Get down here and shoot another scene." Like,
so did they film this when they did the press junket?
yes, they filmed this at their New York press. They got them all together in use. They said, "Wait a minute, everyone's in the same city. You know what? We should shoot another scene." So they went and shot a scene of the Avengers sitting around a table eating lunch.
And how much do you think they spent to do that 2 minutes of stuff at the end?
Probably more than they needed to.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
But I'm sure the second one, the middle credits scene, is more expensive because it looks to be mostly CGI.
Yeah.
And it is about
At the middle of the credits, this is probably the people are calling this the nerdiest credits reveal.
It's amusing though.
In all of the Marvel movies so far. It's throughout the movie we've seen Loki in the Marvel version of Outer Space Cosmos, which is usually pieces of rock floating against a star field with people walking on them, and he's supposedly getting his army and his weapons from an alien, and there's like the alien's advisor is always giving him shit, and we never see the main alien because he's sitting on a throne with like his back to us. Now, throughout the movie, I pretty much figured that I knew who this was going to be because it could really only be one person.
I was wrong, but
So towards the end of the movie, the alien who's been talking to Loki throughout the movie is talking to his master and says, the Avengers are way more badass than we thought they might be. And he says, oh God, his line. He says, to challenge them is to court death. And, if you see the really hardcore nerds in the audience gasped at that moment in line when he says court death, and then the guy in the throne stands up and turns his head to the left, and it's Thanos, the Mad Titan, who is a major bad guy from the Marvel canon. He's like one of the baddest bad guys that you could possibly see, but he's someone that like a mainstream audience has never heard. He's not like people know of Doctor. Like if you're a Marvel fan, this is like the scariest possible bad guy.
Nice.
But like he's not Doctor Doom or Lex Luthor or someone that everyone's heard of. But this is how weird these movies could get in the near future. Is the line to court death? The reason that's Thanos is his deal is he is in love with death.
Oh, that's right.
And
yes.
not like in like
he's like dating death.
Yeah, not like in the whiny goth kid kind of way. Like I'm in love with death. In the Marvel universe, death, as in the Grim Reaper, is a physical entity, and it is a woman. And Thanos has a crush on her, and he wants to wipe out as much life in the universe as possible to impress her. That is his.
This is his big box of chocolates.
So that's that's how weird these movies could potentially get.
Is she hot?
It's a chick in a black robe with a skeleton face.
Yeah.
It's not.
Who's gonna play her?
She's not usually.
Kathy Griffin.
Oh God.
I'm thinking outside the box here.
It could be. It's
Brigitte Nielsen.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
Make sure that you have the
She
hood.
must have or Grace Jones.
Yeah, it could be.
Jones.
Could be. It's
That shows how old we are. We pick up Bridget Nielsen and Grace Jones.
well, God, how many? You could see like the really older like critics in the audience going in the trailers going, "Who did Jenny Agutter play?"
Oh man.
Whereas throughout the the rest of the movie is she got old, by the way.
She did.
Yeah.
Still hot.
Not bad.
Yeah. Watch Logan's Run, people. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think so.
That was good. Thanks, Bob.
Hey, no problem.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome. Thanks, Steve.
You can listen to all of our episodes online. We're at postmovie.net, and we're on iTunes. If you subscribe on iTunes, that would be like really awesome. And if you leave us a review, that would be even more awesome.
Yes.
And if you like us on Facebook, John, what? Something? Yes?
We got a comment. Did we ever get the address? For
Oh, no, I got to get that to you.
Because I've got a hot copy of Pinocchio waiting to go through the
That's
mail.
gone.
You probably
Yeah,
need a
that-
special kind of stamp for that.
That'll be in the mail. We will still do something nice. If you leave us a review on iTunes, we'll think of something. I don't know what. We'll think of something.
I've
But
got
if you can do
tons
that,
of
that'd be
shitty
great.
DVDs I can get rid of.
And we're also on Facebook. If you like us on Facebook, that would be super sweet, because sometimes the conversation ends up on Facebook.
Yep.
I wish it would end up on postmovie.net, but I turned the comments off because we were getting spammed and attacked, and I've been fighting like virus stuff. And anyway, it's safe. Postmovie.net.
Yep.
Everything's up there. And I think we're good.
Okay.
Go see Avengers.
Yep.
Until next week, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Blatt.
I'm Bob.
So long, everybody. I just need to make sure Bob's voice is balanced.
Well, I'm trying to keep my leg off the cord because I know that makes
Oh, I know what I can do here.
stuff there.
All right, now try it, John.
Can you filter me through the Chipmunk app so I sound like
What?
Alvin?
There is a thing that does that.
Yeah, you can like
Really? We
yeah.
should do a show with him.
Yeah, you can pitch that up to Chipmunk, no problem. You can sound like Ross Bagdasarian,
Like what?
the guy who's the voice of the Chipmunks. He was one guy.
Wow, Bob. Wow, there you go, diving deep into that pool
I
again.
think
All right.
this is actually. I think this is what it is.
He was the voice of the original Chipmunk?
Yeah, he's always been the voice of the Chipmunks. It was just he recorded Witch Doctor, that song, and
My friend, the witch doctor.
he told me what ding dang walla walla bing. That was him, and that was the prototype for the Chipmunks. And then he thought, hey, wait a minute, if I do that same thing 3 different times and pretend I'm like a 3-person vocal group and then pitch them all up, I can market it as like a kid's record. And then I'll yell Alvin in the background once in a while, and that'll be like a big deal.
And it was.
Yeah, and that went on to become a series of shitty Jason Lee movies.
Yeah.
This is A material. We better be recording this.
Oh, it's recording.
Oh, wow,
Good,
really?
Good.
Oh, we can
I don't know what to do with it though.
drop it in as a blooper reel
I have
later.
I have a folder collection of like
Bits and
just
pieces?
bits and pieces, like John on the
You should-
Flintstones, John
should-
on Alan Reed, our extended discussion of Top Gun.
Oh,
You should put
It's
a,
like,
you should put a blooper
I don't know what to
reel
do
up
with
there.
all these things.
Just put a
get,
blooper, like a
edited out,
folder,
you know?
a blooper folder.
yeah.
Or what told me to delete. They prefer not to have their names mentioned.
Oh, well.
Why not?
What, the company or the names of the people?
Not to be I don't know. I
They
didn't
don't want to.
Who complained?
They don't want to be part of the discussion.
Nobody complained. I think when we were waiting to interview, and said,
If they prefer
I don't
not.
know about you guys pointing us out by name.
Okay.
Didn't
How
say
about
no,
by
but
cup
just
size?
Like,
Can we do that?
I think it's one of those like business fear things. You know.
All right,
Whatever.
That makes
All
sense.
right.
No. Like rarely has it ever happened.
Yeah.
It is no.
Well, now I'm going to have to because you said I can't.
Oh
I won't.
no, I think it was because sometime somebody said, "Oh well," or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
And that kind of thing is.
So just say
I'm sorry.
it's always good background noise. Have you ever watched Married with Children?
My interior dialogue isn't as dirty as your exterior dialogue.
I have no interior dialogue.
There was a great moment on television. The All in the Family first episode, first time anyone ever used a toilet flushing sound effect on TV.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a huge taboo at the time.
You know, I wondered about that. Like, as I was going through the history of some TV shows, I mean, I think there was something like, I don't remember the name of the show. I think it was like Dragnet or Adam 12.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to show a toilet. They
Oh
weren't
yeah,
allowed
you
to,
couldn't.
You know,
you couldn't like show any of that until like oh god, that had to be the late 70s.
Wasn't Psycho one of the first movies to have a toilet?
yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
because
good
it was
call.
in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and they kind of had to, and that was there's a movie of that out this year.
Movie of Psycho?
No, the movie
Oh.
of the making of Psycho with Anthony Hopkins as Alfred Hitchcock.
That is the narrative. It's not a documentary. It's actually Anthony Hopkins playing.
Right, and Helen
Yeah.
Mirren's his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's another Hitchcock movie with Toby Jones as Hitchcock that's
Really?
about the making of the Birds.
Toby Jones did this before with the Capote thing.
he was
right?
also
They're doing a movie on the making of the Birds with Toby Jones.
they're doing a movie on the making of the Birds with Hitchcock, and Toby Jones is playing Hitchcock. I don't know who's playing Tippi Hedren, but it's not
What?
it's
Why
not
the
as much
hell?
about the movie. It's about how weird he was toward Tippi Hedren.
Wow, man, I'm like, why the hell don't I know about this? I just spent like weeks studying the making of the Birds and preparing for. I don't know if we published it yet. We did a Diabolique radio show entirely devoted to the Birds.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know how much publicity it's getting like right now because everyone's kind of full. This always happens to Toby Jones. He always plays like a historical figure, and then someone much more famous than him plays a historical figure in a much more high-profile movie.
Universal is actively working with the film right now. They're restoring it frame by frame.
Oh yeah,
for release. So.
Theatrically? I'd love to see that in the big screen.
Yeah.
Well, I think whether or not they do it theatrically, they're kind of like, I don't know that the last time they did that with Vertigo, if it was hugely successful, because they spent
kind of sucks.
Yeah, but that was 10 years ago, and they spent like $1 million on the restoration, and then they spent a ton of money distributing it, and I don't know that it was a real victory for them, because there were critics of the way they destroyed the film, restored
the film.
We'll destroy it.
or destroyed the soundtrack, but. I don't know what their plan is for the Birds. I hope
Am
it
I
includes.
the only one in the room
They're
who
coming
took
for you, John.
Who took the Alfred Hitchcock ride at Universal Studios?
I didn't even know there was a ride. But I remember going to the studio and seeing the house on the hill.
Right. They had a ride.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore, but you went in, and there was they had a thing about sound effects and different things about movie making. And then you saw a 3D movie of clips from all his. And at the end, the movie ended and the screen started to vibrate and the birds broke through and flew at you in really
That
good 3D.
I did not see.
Nice.
And then you went into a room and they reenacted the shower scene. They took someone from the audience, put them in a bathrobe and put him in a shower and did that.
That I did not see.
The weirdest ride at Universal.
I did the Battlestar Galactica classic live action adventure.
And?
That was That must have been 1979.
Was it
80.
awesome?
Oh yeah, it was very cool.
Was Lauren
Very
Green
cool.
there? He didn't have much.
The tram went through this huge building, and then it was like the bridge of the Galactica, and explosions started going off, and then Apollo and Starbuck jumping out, shooting their guns and stuff. And like before you went into the building, they had this Cylon on some sort of a. It was like a motor scooter. It was like a motor scooter. I remember taking photos of it. It was like Cylon on some like single seat futuristic buggy that sort of interrogates the tram before you go into the building.
I bet that Cylon was reworked to be one of the Terminators in the Terminator ride.
Probably, yeah.
That was a fun ride. Anyway.